Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm actually going to be doing something a little special for you guys. And I'm going to be doing a review. Not just any review, a review on a game. Which I haven't done in like almost a year. I actually have not reviewed a video game in almost a year. I've actually been meaning to do more of them, but like been quite busy this month and all that. Well, not this month, this last year. I've been quite busy. I did review, like I said, Luigi's Mansion and all for the GameCube. I actually do want to do the other games too, but I figured I would go ahead and do something different right now. Now these reviews aren't gonna happen like too often because I have to play a lot of these games. And I kind of want to do blind playthroughs of these games on my channel. So a lot of these games unfortunately are not gonna, it's gonna be a little bit spread out for these. But I promise you guys it will not take me an entire year to do these again. I mean, technically it's still July, but it's pretty much getting close to it, not being July anymore. But yeah, I actually want to do a review for you guys. And all that. That said though, if you guys haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to 1K subs. If you get to 1K subs, I'll give you guys a super reward video. But let's go ahead and actually get into this. Let's get to reviewing my special little game review for you guys. Alright, in today's video, my special review here is New Super Mario Bros. For the DS. That's right, we're going to be going all the way back to 2006 here. Which was almost 20 years ago at this point when this game came out. Almost 20 years ago. Which is crazy. That this game almost came out 20 years ago. But I figured, why not review, the new Super Mario Bros. Series, since a lot of people kind of talk about them on their, their channel. And, not only they do that, but also I see a lot of people let's playing games. So I figured, why not, do a review on this game too. Now, I know a lot of people have criticisms for this series because, well, it plays it kind of safe at times. But I figured, it would be kind of nice to see how the original game actually plays, and how it performs compared to the later entries, entries and all that. So this game, this game, funny enough, actually starts out where apparently instead of Bowser kidnapping Peach, it's actually Bowser Jr. who kidnaps her. I like that opening and all that we get. We get this amazing, opening and we get to see, I like all those sound effects they play and all that. It's pretty funny, it's actually pretty funny, then Mario somehow gets shrunk by a shell. It's so kind of showcasing, why Mario starts out small, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that this is actually the first time, in a 2D Mario game we actually see Princess Peach get kidnapped. I could be wrong. But yeah, I think this is the first time we see that. But, yeah, I don't know. Because I haven't really played, the other ones in a while. Like, but I have played them in the past. But I guess I haven't technically played like the Mario Land series, which by the way would have been the last time we actually had a 2D platformer too that was Mario themed for a long time. Now they've actually, I think, released, I think special editions of them and all over the years and all that, but like the last like new 2D platformer would have been, I think, Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins. So, yeah, this would be the first time we actually see it, and seeing Peach get kidnapped by, Bowser Jr. is pretty nice, it's a nice change. I actually like Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr. is a pretty interesting character. I do like him a lot. That said, though, although, the opening's pretty nice, we should talk about the actual gameplay itself. This is kind of where I want to point out that I'm not showcasing any gameplay footage because, I could probably show some. My issue though with that is the copyright system is getting pretty bad on YouTube and all that, so I'm kind of not showcasing that stuff much, but basically, I will say, I'm gonna say this, that I feel like Mario actually doesn't control too bad in this game. Like, he doesn't control too bad. Compared to, I'll say some Mario games, like Mario 64, I think he can control, garbage at times. But I think for the most part, I think Mario controls, very well. Mario's got his typical, wall jumping, which I think this might be the first game where he has that too. I don't know. He also can do randomly flips and all that, like if you can triple jump, which is pretty cool. And, the typical Mario, fashion, it's pretty nice, And of course, when it comes to, platformers, we also have the levels, which I gotta say, a lot of the levels in this game are actually very unique and stand out. No, not all of them are like stand out, but a lot of them do. And I actually did write down. Unfortunately, it's on a different notebook, but I figured I'll talk about it later in the entries because I'm just gonna say it right now. The later ones, the levels start kind of lacking a little bit. But in this game, though, I'll say like a good chunk of the levels in this game are very unique and all that. Like there's one level where you'll be there'll be platforming on mushrooms and all that. I like how these different levels have either bouncing mushrooms, tilting mushrooms, and all that. It's pretty cool. And then there's another level where you'll be dealing with ginormous eels. Trying to avoid them and all that. There's actually 2 levels like that. Same with the spiders, which are called, I forgot the name of them, Scuttlebugs. Scuttlebugs is what they're called. They actually, the Scuttlebugs actually have interesting, levels too. They really do know how to make, very unique levels and all that. And, that's the thing, though. That's what I like about this game and all that is the levels, they're very unique. Same with the worlds. Yeah, you could say that maybe the whole, grass, desert, water, and all that is kind of a bit overused, but this was the first game in the series, for a long period of time, and they actually do, I think, add 2 new worlds. They add, a jungle and a rock theme. I'm pretty sure those are the first time those appear. Unless they appear in the Land series, but I don't think they do. And again, you do have, I guess, the World 8, which is, half of it's, ghost themed and the other half is not. Which I get, I think, though, Dark Land and all that, in Mario Brothers 3, that one, has kind of something like that too. And then you have the forest and all that, and in Super Mario World, But no, actually, no, they do have a Hollow-ish theme, Halloween themed or something like that in the Land series too. I don't remember which one, but they do have it there. So, but that's the thing though. There are some unique worlds in this game and all that, and I do really like some of the designs and all that with them. They're pretty cool. So the levels in this game are very unique. I actually wrote down some of my stuff on here on my notebook. This is a different notebook because I don't have I wrote down this on the wrong notebook, so. But with the levels and all that. So, but I told you guys I would talk about them later. But yeah, basically though, yeah, I think though, like I said, the worlds are pretty nice and all that, and it's pretty cool. Also, I forgot to mention that the different enemies in this game too. Good thing I wrote that down. The different enemies. Yeah, this game actually has a lot of unique enemies. By the way, a lot of them do not return in later games. Like the Snailcorns in like World 5, which is the snow world. They only appear in like 2 levels and never come back. Why are they in like 1 level? Why couldn't they just bring them back? I don't really understand why they disappeared. And I don't think they've ever appeared in another Mario game since. Yeah, basically, it's kind of like that, like I said, they have a lot of cool enemies in the game, and those are just examples, like, they brought back, a lot of the, Mario 64, enemies, like the eels, like I mentioned, the scuttlebugs, and put them in, like, the 2D platformers, which is cool, and even the ghost mansions, they'll have like these pumpkin enemies which don't appear again either. They actually do have some in Mario Galaxy, but they're not actually pumpkin. They're pumpkin Goombas, not those, which is kind of weird. But I don't know. But there's quite a bit of stuff, that's pretty unique with the enemies, but which do create some good level design too. But that's the thing, that a lot of them don't appear again, which kind of sucks, which kind of is what the later games kind of start lacking with the enemies like this. And the later ones will have some unique enemies too, but like not as much as this game does. I'm trying to think what else to point out. Oh yeah, I'm going to talk about the music. Let's go ahead and talk about the music. The music in this game is very, different too. Yeah, speaking of things that don't return again, that's the soundtrack. Like, a lot of the tracks in this game do not return. They used, like, remixes of them in the later games, and, like the Mega Mushroom, which, by the way, there's a power-up I'll talk about here in a second, does actually appear later, too. But most of the themes in this game do not appear down the road. So, I'll show you guys some of that real quick. But see, those are just examples of the tracks. Yeah, a lot of those tracks, appear. A lot of them appear, throughout the entire game, and they're very catchy. They are very, very catchy. My problem is though with some of the tracks, like the overworld theme, for example, like it appears a little too much at times. Like, it's very catchy, but it appears a little too much. Like, it'll appear like they use it in like World 4 and then World 5. Which, by the way, in later games, they will actually change the tracks up a little bit. Um, but but in this one, they pretty much use that, They use those tracks and all that. But yeah, they use all those tracks and stuff. Because that's what they do. But yeah, the tracks get used and all that, and sometimes I feel like it gets overwhelming at times because they play the same track over and over again. I mean, in like the rock world and the sky world, I can kind of understand why they keep those tracks, just because especially the sky world, because it's pretty much an athletic area, so it'd make more sense to have that. But like even the desert world, will randomly play the first world theme as well, even though it's a desert theme. So it's kind of weird. Another thing I want to point out, though, that I do like about this game is the bosses. The bosses in this game are actually very good, too. I love the bosses in this game. The bosses, appear, in this game, and actually they feel very unique from one to another. One world you'll fight Bowser, in the castle, and then next you'll fight a Mummy Pokey, and Petey Piranha will appear in this one, They feel very unique. I will say some of the bosses are kind of easy, though. Like a little too easy, And personally, I don't mind a game being easy, but some of these bosses are just too much of a joke. Like, the giant Goomba in the jungle world, you'll try to like stomp on his head and all that, but they make you try to use these platforms, but you can just wall jump off of it, on the walls and all that, and just like jump on its head that way. The first two Bowsers, because you get to fight Bowser like 3 times in this game. The first time you fight Bowser, he's like, you can just use a platform and jump over his head. The second time, he's like in bone form. Which, by the way, I think is the first time. Yeah, it's like the first time we see Dry Bowser. So it's a cool introduction to him, and he appears and you can just run right through him and all. And they make some of these bosses way too easy to fight, but they do feel very unique from one to another. And the Dry Bowser part, when you fight him the first time, even as a kid, that really was very disturbing, to seeing Bowser just slowly melting in the lava. That's just freaking disturbing. Because before that, we've seen him fall in the lava, but like he never like turned into bones, so it's kind of weird. It's weird how sometimes it'll happen, sometimes it won't. But I do really like that. The Bowser Jr. fights, though, I will say, can be kind of overwhelming at times. Like, I will say they're very unique and different from one to another, but they, the problem is you can use a fireball and easily take them out. And that's the thing with the fireball is, it's very overpowered in this game. You can just keep spamming and all. That's something they'll fix in the later games, is the fireballs. Yeah, it's very easy. But I will say the fights are different. Like, they actually do make them a little bit different from one to another, so it feels like it's a bit different. But, yeah, if you have a fireball, you could easily just take them out, And speaking of fireballs and in the Mega Mushroom, I'm going to talk about the power-ups. So the power-ups in this game are, honestly, they're not bad. Like, they do give you some difference. They give you the mini mushroom, the Mega Mushroom, the blue shell and all that, and then you get the blue shell and all that. You get, like, a lot of different, like, power-ups in this game. My problem is with the power-ups, though, is you really only get mainly the fire flower and in the mini mushroom. The mega mushroom only appears in like 3 levels. You can go to a mega mushroom house and get one, which you can see Toad's Wharf there. Yeah, Toad's Wharf. I swear, I brought him up in my last review I did, with the Mario episode of the Mario cartoon, but yeah, Nintendo kind of forgot about Toad's Wharf. I hate how like he hasn't really appeared a lot anymore. Like I don't know why they kind of just tossed him aside, but yeah, he's just gone. But he is the one who gives you the power ups in this game, which is pretty cool. But I do like that. But yeah, I'm like but speaking of the power ups, I'm gonna say right now the power ups in this game, yeah, they're very good. But I really hate how again, like I said, the fire flower and the mini mushroom, the only ones you get in these levels. You don't get any of the other power ups. We can get them in like a box. Otherwise, you have to because a lot of times in the level you don't get the power up, which I would normally not mind because you got the mushroom houses. But the mushroom houses, the way they're designed in here, it's a random box that constantly changes. So you can be hitting a box, and a lot of times you won't get the power ups. So it feels very annoying and all that because I'm just because I'm if they just include the power up, that's my thing with the level. Some people complain about this when I've seen Let's Players, they don't include the power ups in the levels, then it makes the levels kind of tedious. But I feel though, then the mushroom houses kind of feel very pointless because they give you the power ups you need anyway, but that's the thing though. In this game, they like I said, they have a mushroom house, but that they can't give you when you get a random box that changes, so timing it can be kind of annoying, yeah, I don't know, but that's probably one of my complaints. Another complaint I will say is when you play this game, you can't. It's called New Super Mario Brothers, which means brothers, as it has Luigi, as you see on this this card thing here, and you see Luigi there. And the thing is, though, is Luigi is in the game. You can actually play as him anytime you want, because they'll reveal the code at the end of the game. But the problem is, though, is you can't play 2-player in the entire game. There is a versus battle, though, which is pretty cool. If you have, somebody else to play with, you can play with it. And I think there's also the mini games, too, which, by the way, are mostly ripped off from the Mario 64 DS, which kind of stinks. There are some original games, but most of them are rip-offs of it. In this game, you got, Mario trying to, you get, Mario and all that with and his friends and all that with these battles. I don't know much about the mini game side, though, because I haven't seen a lot of people Let's Play with that stuff. But the versus battle I've seen, and I played it before, and it's actually pretty fun. I don't know if you need another copy of the game to play it or not, I can't remember, but it does suck you can't play the entire game with Mario and Luigi, only in the versus battle, which kind of sucks, but that was a very common thing Nintendo did back in the day. They really didn't have 2-player in the game much. But yeah, it would have been kind of cool to have all that and whatnot, but I don't know. But I think they were in the beta. I think it shows that they were going to include it in the game because this game has checkpoints, but they're invisible. Unlike later games where you just hit a flagpole. Even before that, you just hit a flagpole and all that, and then you would get the get it and all that. But in this game, they don't actually have checkpoint flags, which can make this game a little bit harder. This game's actually a lot harder than the other ones. It's probably the hardest of the New Super Mario Brothers games, just because of. I feel like what helps with that is there's no flying power-ups to save you. I mean, I like the flying power-ups, But I will say this game can be a lot harder because a lot of the star coins you have to have good platforming to get them. You can't just use a raccoon Mario or something to get it. You have to actually think and all that when you go to get it, which can be made very challenging but very cool. Very cool and all that. And I think the game is very challenging at times. Like, it really is, and it's not too challenging for me. Like, I will say I kind of like the easier Mario games, but this one's not too challenging. Like, I think I like that they don't have levels where if you die, you gotta start it all over and all that. I kind of hate that they don't have checkpoints because it makes the levels more tedious and then hard, but in this game, they difficulty, I feel like it's pretty much just right, Like I said, some of the bosses I feel like could be more fun if they were a little bit more challenging. You didn't have a fire flower spawning very fast, but for the most part, it's actually not too bad. But, I don't know, I'm trying to think if there's anything else to point out. I'm trying to see here, but I think I pretty much have said everything I want to say. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and just give it a score now, because I don't think I got really anything else to really say about the game. So let's go ahead and give it a score. This one's going to get a good. It's going to get a good, in my opinion. And then, of course, come on. It's going to get, a good. And I'm also going to be giving it 120 points. Yeah, I was gonna say, I was thinking about giving it 100 points because of, the whole two-player asset thing, but for me, I don't mind playing a game single player, but, yeah, I can kind of see why some people might be upset about that, but yeah, it's still kind of fun to be able to play this game. I will say, this game probably is, out of all the new Super Mario Brothers games, this one's probably by far the best one. I mean, really, like, it is probably the best one. Like, it's got the most unique levels. It's got a very good soundtrack. Even though some of it can repeat itself at times, it's not too overwhelming and all that. And then the bosses are very unique, easy but very unique compared to later games. So it's very fun, and yeah, I mean, the power-ups are good too. They're just a little bit more annoying to get a hold of, but you still get those question boxes, and then you get the Hammer Bros on the later worlds that can actually make the items a little bit easier to get. But still, I still think like having the mushroom house and all that have, like, be more than just a random box thing you gotta hit, like, actually make it, an actual game, but like, I mean, I don't mind not having power-ups in the game, like, in every level, like, and having to go to a mushroom house to get one. I just hate how it's set up in this game. But that said, though, that's pretty much all I think there is to it. I don't think there's anything else I can think about this game. But yeah, definitely a very fun game. I definitely really like it. But I'm gonna go ahead and let things go from here. I'll see you guys all later. Bye-bye.